Okay, everybody, welcome back to Roamer. We got a really cool episode today. Casey, what are we talking about?
We're talking about the new lineup of Toyota trucks.
Yeah, specifically their off-road trucks and SUVs, and we're going to cover the gamut. Everything from Tundra all the way through LandCruiser.
and Tacomas.
Yeah, and Tacoma. So, we got to experience all of these trucks at the Texas Truck Rodeo this fall, and we've been meaning to come to you guys and actually walk you through that lineup and tell you what we think about each of those products, what the use cases are, who might be, the ideal buyer, and then if you stay tuned, we're going to talk about some other products as well, which is
The Lexus GX 550.
the 550. We're going to
Yeah.
dedicate an entire episode just to that product,
Yep.
and there's good reasons for that. So.
Yes.
If you're interested, make sure you subscribe to the channel.
Yes.
Thank you guys that are along for the ride.
Yeah. Please keep subscribing. We're really growing and we really need that. So, yeah.
A couple of other housekeeping items.
Uh-huh.
Hey, we are on X, okay, at Roamer Review. So make sure you go out and follow that channel. We do have a new merchandise shop that's available, and we've gotten the hats in, and they look really awesome.
They do. You should see the banner down below anytime you're on our channel. All kinds of shirts, hoodies, hats, all that stuff. Yeah. So, and if you would, while we're rolling it out, if you'd like a discount code on any of that stuff, we're going to do it this way. Comment on the video with whatever you want about this, but also tell us you would like a discount code for some merch.
We'll give you one.
We will give you one. I will email it to the email address attached to your YouTube user profile that you comment with.
And eventually we're going to drop that into membership. Discounts will become exclusive to that. And on that note, we have a new $1 membership level. YouTube finally got smart and allowed us to do that. And so we brought that to you guys. Check it out down below.
Yep.
Well, let's talk about Toyotas, man, because we did do a full-on video review of the Tundra. And you guys can certainly go out and check that out on the channel. That was the first vehicle we drove that day. We really enjoyed it. But just initial recap thoughts on this particular product for our audience.
Well, the biggest thing for me was just the interior redesign. That's the thing that we've been critical of Toyota, very critical of in the past, right? And they were really falling very, very far behind the big three in terms of not just the interior, the look of the interior, but also the features, the screen layouts and all that. It just looked really dated. And so this was my first chance to really get in one, play around with it. It looks great. It was laid out even better, I thought.
Yeah, it was very simple to use. It's kind of intimidating when you first get in because there's a bunch of buttons and knobs and everything for the full, off-road capability. But the technology is really approachable, I thought, and easy to find what you're looking for once you get used to it.
No, I agree. And, we complain about buttons going away in vehicles, and I thought they've really nailed it. It's just the right amount. Everything you need quick access to is in a button. It's easy to reach. I like the big toggle style switches, versus say a Ford that still is, I think, they try to cram everything through this one kind of lane in the car, and it doesn't look right, and it makes stuff hard to find.
Yeah, and things like the Ram 1500, there's a whole bunch in those giant screens now, and the layout gets a little too busy, and you're looking up high, you're looking down low, and again with touchscreens, you're trying to reach and hit the right button, and it doesn't always work so well.
Yeah, that was another thing that's really smart, and throughout all of these, because it's a very similar design language in all the new Toyota trucks, is the screen is nice and high.
Yes, it can be a little bit too much sometimes at night, but you'll just have to control the brightness and you'll have to or turn off the screen when you don't use it. But that's sort of just the way it is now with modern cars. I mean, I run into that problem all the time.
For sure.
It's a full-size truck, but it didn't feel nearly as big as some of the other products that are on the market. Like when I get into a Ram 1500, I feel like that's a huge vehicle. I never quite felt that way when I was in the Tundra.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm all alone on that. I'll stand on that.
Yeah,
that's fine.
That's fine. I don't know. It felt like it didn't feel too big to me at all, but it felt like kind of any other half-ton pickup.
Okay.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Now I will say this: it didn't feel nearly as premium as some of those other products that are on the market. Now it's probably not fair. we jumped in and out of some of the Rams throughout the day, and we've been into some of the other pickup trucks.
It's really not a fair fight with the Rams.
It's really not. And it didn't seem to matter if we were in the RHO or if we were in the, oh gosh, the new Tungsten, which is outrageous.
Right.
But I think the Tundra has a little ways to go in that department.
It does. It's right up there though with the Ford
Maybe
GM
the
at
Ford,
least.
for sure.
Yeah, Ford for sure. Yeah. No.
GM's gotten a lot better. The modern GM portfolio for pickup trucks have gone up a couple of notches from a premium.
Yeah.
Deal, so
I think that's fair. You could pick it apart all day. I mean, if it's behind those two, it's by a very small margin.
Yeah.
Whereas it used to be a pretty large margin.
I always feel like with the Toyota products, and we'll hit on this, I think, throughout the episode, is they're definitely the tool for the job. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like they feel a little more utilitarian, not coming at it from a premium perspective, not trying to pull the wool over your eyes, I guess, in a little bit and disguise some of the shortcomings because they don't believe there are any shortcomings in their platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's totally fair.
Yeah. As far as, so we did get to off-road the Tundra, and this was the TRD Pro.
Yeah,
you'll see some of that footage later on in the video, but overall, very capable pickup truck.
It was, and you mentioned the Ram. We drove a Ram. I felt like of course, it was a TRD versus the Tungsten Ram, right? So that's
we drove the Tungsten on road. We actually drove the new RHO on the off-road course.
Not the RHO. It wasn't the RHO, was it? It was the Rebel.
You're Rebel. Correct.
That's right.
Sorry.
We drove the Rebel off-road. I liked the TRD Tundra better. I felt like it flexed a little better, which is weird considering. Well, it's not weird. The Rebel's kind of an off-road trim, but not as much as the TRD, I guess.
We had a little bit of traction issue and lifting issue with the Rebel.
Yeah.
We didn't
definitely some driver error on that.
I wasn't driving.
Yeah, I was driving. But no. I think the TRD did better than the Rebel.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Now, it wasn't the only Toyota product. Like we said, we got to drive quite a few of them. And as you'll see, there was a whole row of these things, including some Lexus products. But this was fantastic. The new Tacoma TRD Pro.
Yeah. And here it is in its natural element.
Absolutely.
It got quite muddy, and it looked good doing it. And this is interesting because, okay, the TRD Pro used to be the kind of only off-roady trim from Toyota, right?
It did.
And so now they've kind of split it in two. So now you've got the TRD off-road and the Trailhunter.
Yes.
So I think the best comparison that I could come up with is TRD Pro, Gladiator Mojave. Trailhunter, Gladiator Rubicon.
Absolutely.
Right? It's a little more, it's Toyota Racing Development. It's a little more high-speed, off-roading, kind of Baja kind of stuff. It's got these bonkers seats in it.
Suspension seats,
which were a little weird. They were a little weird when you're only in the car for like 20 minutes.
I think anybody who owns this truck and chooses this option in this nice red camouflage finish, these suspension seats, they're probably not going to enjoy them very much day to day.
No. Where you're really going to enjoy those is when you've been off-road for like an hour or two.
Yeah.
And that's when they're really going to pay dividends, because it was noticeable and it's a little bit unnerving just tooling around.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think though the TRD for the hardcore, the TRD Pro, this makes sense, but again, you're gonna have to do some desert Baja racing basically.
And I don't believe you have to buy the fancy seats with the I think it doesn't come with the TRD off-road package. I don't.
No, it doesn't. These are still optional on the package for sure.
So if you don't want them and you can save some coin, I would do that personally.
Do without those.
I would do without those. Yeah.
And it does have a different suspension setup versus the Trailhunter, so they come with their own unique set of shocks and springs.
Different valving and stuff for more high-speed off-roading.
Yeah, and we did get to drive both. We drove both the TRD Pro and the Trailhunter. The Trailhunter comes with the old man Emu setup, and it's more set up for long distance, overlanding, and the rock crawling that comes with doing slow speed trails. It's just a different
Hmm.
package altogether. I'm really glad they did it. I think the market initially was a little like, well, why are we doing this? Well,
Right.
because people use their trucks in different
Right.
ways, and they really are two different market segments.
Yeah, they are, and it's allowed them. I mean, the Trailhunter just has a ton of really cool options and stuff on it
Yeah.
for, the overlanding space. It's definitely more like if I were deciding between those two for me, it's Trailhunter. Like, but that's just the style of off-roading that suits me better.
Yeah, and if you're wondering why we don't have footage of the Trail Hunter, that was our last vehicle of the day. To be honest, we were out there for about 9 hours in and
Yeah.
out of the car, and we got to jump into the Trail Hunter with a Toyota product specialist. And
Yeah.
to be honest, we just wanted to enjoy
Yeah.
that and getting to have that conversation. And so we didn't record any video, but I'll make sure that I'm popping some images in here so you know what we're talking about. The one criticism that I have of Trail Hunter is actually the snorkel, and I wouldn't mind it personally, but I have talked to people who are very interested in buying that truck, and they don't want that on there.
That's
And I
interesting.
have not seen an option to delete that in the ordering guide. So maybe I'm just missing it. Maybe they'll do that for you. I doubt it. Any of them that you're going to find on a lot are going to have the snorkel, and that's a turnoff for some people.
I can understand that. I mean, if you're gonna go to the trouble getting all that other stuff, I wouldn't mind having it. I will say, you said we were in the car with the Toyota specialist, and he was very excited
He
to have
was.
us crack the window and rev the engine because of the sounds you can hear coming out of the snorkel. And I was sitting right next to it. And to me, that's one of those things that you enjoy the first like 2 or 3 times.
And then you roll
And
your
then
windows up.
you roll your window up and you're like, I don't want to hear that. I've got, it takes 2 3 hours to go over something, what, like Imaging Pass or whatever. You want to hear that every like
Yeah.
30 seconds as you're like gunning it, going over a rock or something. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just,
It's a little bit of a party trick, but one that's going to
right.
wear out its welcome very, very quickly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But, snorkels do have their place. They do provide a function. So whatever.
Yeah. Now, overall, the Tacoma, tons of new technology, really oriented around the off-road driver.
Mm-hmm.
We had very sophisticated terrain management, different options, control over your lockers, your front sway bar as well, right, on both of those. There's just a ton to work with. If I remember right, we actually had an obstacle that we did earlier in the day with the Pro, and we did it on our own. And then when we jumped into Trail Hunter, this was the
right.
climb, right? The initial real high degree climb.
Yeah.
And basically, our Toyota specialist said, "Check this out,"
Yeah,
and
and
walked us through.
he had us use the crawl control.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're calling it crawl control now. Toyota used to call it A-Track in the Toyotas and crawl control in the Lexus. But yeah, it was interesting that he did that because I use it in my Lexus sometimes. I've never used it going uphill.
Yeah,
That's not
exactly
an application that I would.
It's
use
usually
it
descent control to
Yep.
keep the car under control, not having to be on the brake all the time.
Yeah.
But this time, I mean, that sucker climbed that grade over really rocky terrain, and it didn't slip a tire.
No.
Where we did in the TRD Pro without it on,
Uh-huh.
in the Trail Hunter with the system engaged, it
Yeah.
took it like it was nothing. It was really, really impressive.
Yeah, and that's not to say the traction control and everything is not going to kick in and help you in the TRD Pro. I would just say if you're considering these vehicles, you're going to find yourself using that crawl control more than you ever thought you would, because the new generation is so much better than the old one.
Right.
Right. It's so cool. You don't hear a thing of that thing working. It's just super smooth, and it does its thing. It was really cool.
It's just a cheat code for
Yeah.
terrain
Yeah.
response and making sure that you get where you want to go with as much or as little drama
Yeah.
as possible. We really enjoyed this platform, thought it was phenomenal. There is a whole heck of a lot going on, and there is a learning curve to it to figure things out. But I think once you got it, and now it's the best tool in the bag, right?
Yeah.
And now we did the Tacoma, the TRD Pro, and the Trail Hunter.
Uh-huh.
Coming out very soon is 4Runner, right?
Yes.
So 4Runner should be hitting the market in the next couple months. And it's the same trim packages and largely the same
Yeah,
capability.
I think it's going to have the same even mostly the same, like you said, packages and
Mhm.
features, right? Disconnecting sway bar, no more KDSS in the Forerunner,
Right.
which we'll kind of get to later. Now you have an actual a mechanically disconnecting sway bar. We use that in the Trailhunter. I think the TRD Pro also,
Yeah, it should have had it.
and in the LandCruiser.
Oh, LandCruiser.
We
Yeah,
use it in the LandCruiser as well.
we
Yeah,
did.
sorry, we'll get there. Um, really good system. Uh,
What did you think about the engine in the Tacoma?
okay, so yeah, lot of lot of noise about that on the internet. Obviously,
Hmm.
people really wanted the V6 back. You know, from a if I if I didn't have to hear it, it'd be
You would
fine.
love it.
I would love it. The torque response is great. It did everything we needed it to do. It doesn't sound that great. It doesn't sound that refined.
There's not a lot of small displacement turbocharged engines
No.
that sound great. It just seems to be a thing of the past.
Yeah. I mean, you got like your Volkswagen 2-liter turbo
Yeah.
that's everywhere. That one sounds great. Other than that, I mean, the one in your Rubicon 4x8 sounds awful.
Absolutely awful.
Terrible.
It's probably worth an entire video all on
Yeah.
its own right now because I'm completely reliant on that engine due to
Yeah.
another recall.
Right.
But let's not get sidetracked too much.
I brought up in one of my Monday morning commutes, like when BMW first started switching everyone from their straight sixes to the Turbo 4s, that first generation that they put out sounded horrible. It's gotten better now, but it just, I don't know. It is what it is.
You get good fuel economy, and you do get the added bonus with the hybrid platform of having some power on board. Particularly the Trailhunter, they dedicate some of that to being useful on the trail.
Yeah, we should
And you're
talk
only
about
getting that in the hybrids. So
Right.
yeah,
I didn't notice the hybrid doing a whole lot. Well, I guess you're
no,
not
it's very
supposed to.
seamless. Yeah,
It's seamless, but I was actually kind of hoping I would feel just some electric power taking over in some cases or something, like, but I never really did. I guess that's
I
a
think
good
that's
thing.
the point.
Yeah.
Toyota did a really good job sort of engineering all of
Right.
that out so you don't notice.
You don't notice, and but still get the benefit. We talked about it before. We want that hybrid system for the battery,
Yes.
and the camping. You know, the power your campsite implications of it. But
Right.
yeah, I don't think our TRD had the hybrid, did it? But the
I would have to
Trailhunter
go back
did.
and look. The Trailhunter definitely did.
Uh-huh.
I know the next vehicle
Yes.
definitely had the hybrid, and
Well,
we might as well.
Hold on, before we go move on from the Tacoma, I just have to point this out for the taller viewers because this comes up a lot. Last generation Tacoma, kind of terrible if you're tall. All right, so you were basically
It
sitting
was
on the
terrible
floor.
if you were short.
Okay.
It
Well,
was torture if you were tall.
yeah, I just want to point this out because people ask about it.
Yeah.
Like, for me, sitting there, like we had a work friend that we used to go to lunch with sometimes in a Tacoma, and like you're sitting on the floor, and for me, I still had my head almost grazing the ceiling. You know, now is this as spacious as a Tundra? Not at all. It is still an order of magnitude better for the taller person than the outgoing Tacoma.
It is. I was
Yeah.
5'9". I am 5'9". I haven't shrunk or grown since then. But I did rent a Tacoma last gen,
Sorry.
and I hated it for the exact same reason. So I
Right.
can't even imagine what it's like for you.
Yeah, it was
But
not
this
good.
is better.
Well, and the other
Better.
thing is, yes,
Better. Not great. It's just better.
okay.
Orders of magnitude. Okay. I might
Yeah.
disagree with you.
Well, it's probably because you weren't as uncomfortable as I was. In
That's
the old
probably fair. I'm just
So-
saying when I got into one of these for the first time, I still had the same familiar kind of sat low in it. My legs are stretched way out in front. It's just a different posture than the other products. Okay, so
Yeah.
very different. That's all I'll say. So
All right.
if that's something that's important to you, I would go sit in all of these mid-sized
Right.
trucks and figure out, make sure that's not going to be a problem. Fair?
Is fair enough. I mean, I guess I have the same problem when I get in a canyon
Okay.
or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, it's a mid-sized truck thing because people want this off-road capability. Like,
Well, it's definitely not a Jeep Gladiator thing. That's about as completely the opposite direction as you can possibly get with this. So, or a Jeep Wrangler.
You know what? Let's
Here we
not go
go.
there, or I'm just going to go on a 20-minute rant about what a piece of
How about we
garbage the
talk about
Gladiator
the
is.
LandCruiser instead? All
Okay,
right,
let's do that.
because that's what's up next. That's what we got to drive next. And wow, okay, I think we have a lot to talk about here because this is a
Yeah.
very controversial vehicle in the Toyota community. And
No, yeah, well, it for sure is. People wanted basically the 300 series Land Cruiser to come to the US. It's not. It probably never will. You can get one in LX 600 or 700H form, which could also probably be its own episode. Um, and, look, I kind of understand why we talk about the lack of refinement inside in Toyotas.
yeah,
Look, the 200 series Land Cruiser didn't have that issue. Was it super nice inside? No, but you get in one, it feels quite a bit like sturdier inside than the standard Toyota offerings, right?
yeah,
This, you don't have that feel anymore. This is a Land Cruiser Prado. It's not a big boy Land Cruiser. And yeah, it's noticeable. It's also really, really
good.
I really enjoyed it. Like, I think the biggest problem with it is that if you're trying to figure out where it fits in the lineup, it's like, why do you have this and a Forerunner?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
But after spending time in the Tacoma and spending time in
Uh-huh.
this, they do have very different feels inside. They really do. Different design philosophies on the interior. The Tacoma and the Forerunner are going to be the big chunky
Yeah.
buttons. It's gonna feel kind of, I don't know, everyman. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Whereas the Land Cruiser is going to feel a little bit, a cleaner design. Let
Yeah.
me see. I'll actually show you guys. We'll see some of the interior shots here in a minute.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and going back to the seating position thing, right? The
yes.
Forerunner is going to be very similar to the new Tacoma in that this is a more upright feeling, less like you're sitting on the floor experience.
Yeah, it's going to feel like a little like you're. I have to be careful, but your wife is not going to enjoy driving the Forerunner. She's probably going to like driving this more. And I think that's just from a seating position perspective and just the overall design inside.
Yeah.
So here we go. Here's some of the shots of interior. Hopefully, I get you something decent here. And if not, we'll pop some up. But
Oh yeah.
not nearly as chunky. Much cleaner along the dash. The screen is set lower
Right.
on the vehicle. I felt like this car didn't feel as big as well. It felt tighter. It felt more compact. It's not. Okay, it's just
Yeah.
not. But maybe more visibility, like you said, you're sitting up more upright, so maybe you just see more. But it felt like maybe the windowsills were a little lower. The
I think
out the
that's what it
windshield.
is. Like there's more glass and
Mm-hmm.
less dash and door and stuff that you see,
And hood.
and
Yeah,
all of that, so that everything feels smaller even though it's really not.
yeah.
And then you get there's more visibility in this
Yep.
than the Tacoma or the Tundra certainly, but
It just
yeah.
yeah, you're not gonna have any problem. Again, this is about covering a lot of miles,
Yeah.
versus maybe a Forerunner and the Tacoma. I think this is something
Yeah.
that you'd take on a road trip, you'd drive 10, 12 hours, and you would have no problem. And then you're going to have a tremendous amount of capability on 99% of the trails that you're going to hit.
That's a good point. I did find it to be more comfortable,
Overall.
and even on like the road too. I was like, this is going to be a better 5 6 hour 10 hour
Right.
whatever road tripper.
Yeah, for sure. I really liked it. I mean, from a mechanical standpoint, you can get the center locker, rear locker,
Uh-huh.
disconnecting sway bar on the front, but you don't get something that has been a staple in the
Yeah.
Toyota side for a while.
Yeah, the outgoing Land Cruiser had KDSS, phenomenal system, not available on this, not available on the Tacoma, although it never was, not going to be available on the Forerunner that's
Right.
coming out. That is now a Lexus only thing.
It's an exclusive Lexus
Yeah.
option. So
And
remember
that's-
that. As
Yeah.
is the V6, right?
Yes.
So this is a 4-cylinder only platform, right? So you get this one had the hybrid system in it, the 2.4 liter turbo 4 hybrid.
Yeah. And we've gotten a lot of questions about when that powertrain is going to be available in the GX 550 because people
Yeah.
really want that.
I'm not so sure it's going to
I
be.
don't think it is either, because of what we've been talking about, man. The difference in the level of refinement between the Land Cruiser and the GX 550, subscribe,
Subscribe.
subscribe.
Coming soon.
It's noticeable, and I just don't think Lexus wants this powertrain in that vehicle. I
I
don't think they want it on their lots.
I wouldn't if I were them. And
Yeah,
I went into this truck rodeo expecting this powertrain to end up in the GX 550.
yeah,
And we got out of this car going, no way.
they'll never do it.
I would be shocked if
Yeah,
that's what happens. It's a little too buzzy.
yeah,
It's a little unrefined is not really the right way to put it,
right,
but not up to what Lexus owners are
right.
going to want and expect in their vehicles. And something interesting has come along in the Lexus world. Although, let's save that. We'll
Okay,
save that. We got some other videos down there
okay.
in our catalog that you might want to check out if you're interested in V6 hybrids that may end up in future Lexus products. We'll just say that
Fair
for
enough.
now. Yeah.
Yeah,
But overall, really like this vehicle. Man, here's the deal though, because people are going to bring this up. They're going to bring it up in the comments. They do in every single video. These are all expensive vehicles, all of them.
yeah,
Okay, there's nothing cheap anymore. If you want to, you want to play, you want to go outside and play, you're going to pay for it.
that's right.
And everything that we talked about is going to either be high 50s, mid 60s. I think you can get a Land Cruiser over 70. Can you get it right up against $70,000? Or does it go
Yeah,
well into that space? I'm
I
trying to
think it.
remember.
I think you just get like 71, 72. I
It
think.
starts to encroach on
Yeah,
GX
yeah,
territory. I
yeah,
know
for
that
sure.
to the point where you will be cross shopping those two products once you get to the high end of Land Cruiser. At least
Yeah,
you should be.
we should point out though, Kai over at Tinker's Adventure
Yes.
has a recent video going through because he considered buying a TRD Pro, I think, um, and didn't, and goes through all the reasons why, but also has a very good comparison of the new Toyota Tacoma lineup and the old one, and how much is really a price increase and how much is the way the packages are done for this. So there's an $8,000, I think, technology package that people often lump into the TRD that is optional. So there are ways to get some of the off-road features and save yourself several $1,000s. So I would just say be cognizant of that. Texas Truck Channel, Brian and Craig will leave their stuff down below. Also, just had a good video recently on that phenomenon in general across the whole truck market. It's really worth watching.
Man, you keep increasing the things I got to add to the
Yeah,
description.
sorry,
Thanks a
that's
lot.
okay.
Really appreciate that.
Okay,
Those dudes are cool though. They're a
yeah,
fantastic channel. Tinker's Adventures was our number one
dude.
watched YouTube channel. So we did a little review of our favorite channels. That was number one. I'm not sure anybody out there has perfected their craft quite like that channel. Just
Yeah,
covering Toyota and Lexus suspension
yeah.
geometry and capability.
And he does like one video a month.
Yeah.
So every time it drops, you're just like, there's a new video. It's gonna be a banger. Like
It's
his
badass.
hit rate is crazy.
It's really
So,
cool.
Anyway,
Doing a really good job bringing some engineering know-how to
yeah,
the space, and really just pointing out, bigger is not always better,
right.
right? When it comes to tires and offsets and
Lifts,
lift
and,
kits and everything else, and bringing a lot of sanity to an insane world.
yes.
It's pretty cool. All right, what else have we got for the Toyota bag? We had a great time out there driving all these trucks. Let me ask you this: of all the products that we drove that day in the Toyota lineup, which one would you want to take home?
Ooh,
It's a good question.
it is just because I like Land Cruisers. I really liked this. The Land Cruiser kind of just made me want a GX 550 even more.
Man, that's such a bailout answer,
It
but it's
is.
probably the right answer, and
Yeah.
it's the right way to wrap up this video.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
I might, that might make me just go say, I just go nuts and get a full size and get the Tundra. I
yeah,
actually did like the Tundra a lot.
yeah, yeah. But you bring up a good point. The crown jewel in the Toyota Motors lineup is the GX 550.
Yeah.
It really is, and for a lot of good reasons. And we are going to do a full-on video dedicated to that platform. But I will tell you this: we sat down at lunch at the truck rodeo with a bunch of guys who drive these things off road all
Hmm.
the time, and said, if you could take one vehicle out of here, which one are you taking? It was unanimous: the
GX
GX
550.
GX
Yeah.
550.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good a place as any. Thank you guys for watching the video. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Buy some hats. They actually turned out phenomenal. I love
Hmm.
these things. We'll be giving a few away to members over the next couple of months. So drop down. Make
Hmm.
sure you do that. You can also just say thanks down below. We now have a thanks button on YouTube, and we would appreciate it. Other than that, we end it the only way this guy knows how: the awkward way.